off. Gotta take off my big construction headphones. These, I tell you what though, these were such a good investment. I bought two.
So how do you hear, like, how does your AirPods pick up your voice?
So it doesn't. I have a internal mic on the
Oh,
Mac.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So the mic comes here and the audio comes here.
Okay.
But
So that your
yes,
mic doesn't pick up the background noise then.
correct. Yeah, it's pretty. What is it? But it buffers it. I don't know what to call it exactly. But
Sure.
good morning, Facebook land. It is Tuesday, April 16th, and we're here to help you with time. Coach Andrew is going to be diving into this. Before we do, though, I'm going to tag everyone in this group. And I'm excited for this one because I think it has been 16 years that I've been a coach. And I don't think I've ever had a day go by without talking to a client or without talking to, someone who's not a client yet, someone who's looking to transform their body that feels like they just have all the time in the world, right? Usually having no time is a big obstacle. So we know that. What is the first thing we got to do? So if we're in this position, we're like, yeah, I want to transform my body. I want to get my health better. I literally don't have the time. I'm going all day long from the moment I wake up to the minute I go to sleep. And some of that probably, is a feeling, but where do I start?
Well, I think the first thing is we need to get some clarity around that, right? Like, so we really
Yeah.
actually need to put it to paper, so to speak, of what exactly is true. Because I do believe
Mm,
for many of our clients, they got so many important things happening in their life, their work, their family, themselves, hobbies, their home, we all have important things. So I think it's extremely helpful to identify like what your important things are first. So, if my top five things that matter most to me are like my work and my family and playing golf and my health, if I were to look at my schedule, so to speak, like say for the next 7 days, I would hope to see where do I already have time dedicated to those things that matter most to me. So work is easy, right? So work, most of us could instantly put down from this time to this time I'm working, whether
yeah.
I'm working from home or whether I'm working at a location or multiple locations. Like most of us could do that like instantly.
Sure.
Usually where it gets kind of muddy is everything else, right? Because
Yes.
we we give so much to our work because our
We got to
work takes care of
prioritize
so
work.
many things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like that's where it's like, well, I don't have the time because we're emphasizing so much to work. It just feels that way, and we're looking in reflection, like we're looking back, like at the end of the day, I probably could have, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared, which is also true. Like you weren't. Like I wasn't prepared to do an hour long workout, or I wasn't prepared to go to the grocery store. So I made an easier choice. I made a compromise to just get through the day. So just to summarize so far, what I'm talking about is first identifying like what are like your top five things that matter the most in your life and just kind of writing those down. Then pulling out your calendar and looking at, okay, where during the week am I honoring how important those things are to me? So like work, family, health, uh, church, whatever might matter the most to you, where is that happening in the week? And that's the second thing that I would suggest to start. So before I keep going off, any thought
Yeah,
to
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Any
I got a few. I got a few. First off, hey Gloria, good to see you. Saw you in the comments there. If you guys are here, feel free to say hi in the comments. We'd love for this to be interactive, not just us talking at you. If you guys are watching live or on recording and you want to say hey, Coach Andrew and I will come into the comments and respond in kind. But yeah, no, I'm with you. The first thing is you got to get clarity. You got to know where you're going or the direction you want to go in. It's funny you talked about these 5 priorities. I found that really I only have 4 priorities in my life, and they take up everything, or at least in my head, it's health, wealth, love, and happiness. So
cool.
everything can fit into one of those buckets generally. So health, right? That's like, my body. That could be mental health, but it's,
Mhm.
my ability to have longevity. It's going to be wealth. That's, as we were talking about, everyone's usually pretty good, at least at the work side of wealth, meaning like their bills are paid and like, You know, they're usually pretty good. I would say in America, that's where at least the people that we're trying to serve, right, usually thrive. You know, RNs, you know, healthcare gets paid pretty well. But again, it's kind of like, what about these other areas? Then we have love. Love is, you know, could be maybe some self-love, but it's also relationships. And then we have happiness, which is kind of like, I'll say, the culmination of everything, but it could also be maybe a little more on emotional, a little more on, you know, where you live in the world, meaning like, you know, if I lived in a warmer climate, I'd be happier. Let me prioritize that. You know, that's more of a bigger action. But anyway, so yeah, health, wealth, love, and happiness. And then I'm a big fan too of doing time audits. So time audits have given me so much. They're annoying to do. I will say this. They are super annoying to do, but they give me so much clarity in what I'm actually doing. So you can do time audits where you set an alarm on your phone every 30 minutes for a day. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, you're going to get less done during the day because it's going to annoy you and take you off track. But every 30 minutes, I would just write down what I did the last 30 minutes when it would go off. And I've even done it to the point that it's been every 15. Oh my God. Like I would have the alarm go off after 30 minutes and I'm like, I have nothing tangible to show for the time that I've just been working. Wow, this isn't, oh man, what happened? And then I identify at the end of the day, I'm like, I spent 2 hours on my phone doing nothing, like doing nothing. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's 2 hours I could put towards this or that. But it's interesting too, because then we can take it a step further and we can go, well, hold on a sec. Now I'm aware that I'm taking this time on my phone, but I'm not able to stop. That's interesting. Because then we were able to go and dive in and say, well, why? And then we can really start getting to the root of things like, oh, I'm going on my phone to distract myself because I have a lot of uncomfortable moments through the day and I don't want to sit in the pain of that moment. And I just want to distract myself. Interesting. So now we can learn more about ourselves as well. So anyway, that's my 2 cents so far. Good morning, Amanda.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think you're on the right track with identifying something too, is like, at the end of the day, if we're not, like, say you're doing that reflection or doing that time audit, at the end of the day, if you feel like you didn't move the needle, let's say towards our health or towards something that matters to you, that's when we start feeling unfulfilled. We start feeling like we're not being productive. We start feeling, you know, like we're doubting ourselves, like something gets in our head, like we've been talking the last few weeks, like just one of those items start to get some, you know, momentum, not in a great way, because we feel like I'm doing so many things. How come I'm not getting some traction moving forward? And that's why it's so important to identify like what matters to you, because like just like what you just did, like how you described what you value the most, I can resonate with that even if it's not exactly the same thing for me. And that's why we got to get specific of like what is it that you value, what's important, because at the end of the day, that's what we want to identify is, what did I get some traction on? What did I get some movement on? How did I move the needle today? Something to feel like we're generating momentum in our life. And that's going to be fulfilling to keep us going, to keep the consistency and to keep that, you know, when things get tough, I'm going to keep going because I can see how I'm getting fulfillment. I can see how I'm getting satisfaction or I'm getting progress along the way. So once we have that identified proactively, we need to start blocking time out for those activities. So let's say health, because that's a big part of what we do, is proactively, how are we going to get some progress with health? So I suggest choosing 3 things potentially over the week that you want to dedicate or block out time for, that no matter what, you're going to do your best to get that activity satisfied, done, completed throughout the week as best you can. And things might come up as they do, and that's the benefit of planning ahead proactively, because then if something does come at you, you could say, okay, I know I need to get 30 minutes at the grocery store to get all my food for meal prep. I really need that 30 minutes, but now I got this emergency. My kid just, you know, put a Lego up their nose or something, you know, and then it's like, but I need that 30 minutes. So can we accommodate? Can we just move that block to a different time and still satisfy those things that come at us, or the other important things that we got to take care of. So
Definitely.
that's the thing that I really like emphasizing, is that block of time, and it's protected time. It's not, it'd be
Yeah.
nice if, or if I feel like it kind of thing. It's no, that is something important. It's something that you already decided it's going to be fulfilling and satisfying when you do it. We've got to do that. So
Yeah.
psychologically, physically, you get the benefit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you 100%. There's been quite a bit of study behind this. There was a three cohorts. I'm thinking of one study specifically. I don't remember which college did it, but there's one study where there was three cohorts. One cohort, it was all people that like wanted to start exercising. Nobody was exercising prior, and the
Mm-hmm.
idea was, let's find out which action's the most helpful. The first cohort listened to a motivational speech, and essentially, or actually, the first cohort, which was a control group, they essentially were just given the workout plan and say, "Hey, work out 3 days a week. Got it, for 30 minutes." Second
Mm-hmm.
group listened to a motivational speech, and they were like all pumped up. They were like, "Yeah, this is going to be it. I'm really excited. It's going to be awesome." And then whatever. And then the last group listened to, or they didn't listen to any motivational. All they did was set the time and date that they were going to exercise and put it on their calendar. The control
Mm-hmm.
group, only 30% did the workouts for the first week with adherence. The second group that listened to the motivational speech, it was slightly higher. It was like 37%. The third group that just set the intention, 88%. Crazy. So to your point, I totally agree. It's like on Sunday, or like, like not trying to be crass here, but like fuck Mondays. A lot of people are like, oh, you're going to start fresh on Monday. Dude, it's a fresh day. Time is irrelevant. All we have is now. So like it's Tuesday, 10:22. Today we start. Look at your calendar right now and just like figure out what's going on. Like, where can I do this? It doesn't have to be today if you're already booked. Tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, where are you gonna, put this into place? But yeah, setting intention is extremely powerful. And again, I will take it one step further too. And let's say that you are looking at your calendar and you're like, no, you don't understand. I have zero time,
Yeah.
meaning I spend 12 hours a day working because I'm in management at the hospital, administration. And then I have my kids and I have this and I have that. To those people, I would say we have to identify the biggest lever. What does that mean? I can promise you that if you're doing something for 12 hours a day, you are not nearly as effective every single hour. So what you have to identify, and because life is about a balance, you have to identify what is the hour or 2 hours or 3 hours that I'm least effective, and just get rid of it. And even if, and like I have found for a lot of my clients we've done that with, their total output actually goes up, which in theory you would think it goes down. But here's the thing. Even if it does go down, because you work instead of 12 hours a day, you work 9, and it goes down by 5%. So you're doing 95% instead of 100%. You're getting more bang for your buck. And that 3 hours, you can, with some of my clients, sleep, right? Which makes this whole game easier. So it is important too, when you're thinking about health, wealth, love, and happiness, think of it like it's not a wheel, but like, think about it like I don't know, sections. Which maybe side are you weighted too much towards? I think it's very common when you're an RN, you're a high achiever, you've gone to school, you might have even gone back to school to become a nurse practitioner. You might have started as an LPN. Now you're an RN. Like, you obviously can, are very intelligent and can achieve, but sometimes we attach our identity to that so much that, well, it becomes who we are, it becomes our life. And a lot of our self-esteem comes from work. Whereas if we can just maybe be cognizant of that and shift a little bit and say, well, you know what? Hey, I've been focusing on my career the last 10 years, 15 years. I really haven't been able to give my family as much attention. And like, I'll be honest, that's where I am. Even right now in this moment, my 20s, I'm 31, my 20s, all about growth and sacrificing today for tomorrow's, beauty. But now as I enter my 30s, I'm like, well, hold on a sec. If I do this track again, I'm not really going to love like being 40 and my son being 11 and him going like, yeah, no, my dad was around.
Right.
He didn't really pay attention, but like he was around. I don't want to play that game. I don't want to keep the cycle going. Right. My dad,
Sure.
that's what happened with my dad. He was, working a lot, so it's just like attention, right? Where attention goes, energy flows, results soon follow. This is an opportunity in this moment to wake up and make a different decision at the very least. So, hey, if you guys are out there, I see your eyeballs. Does this resonate? Do you agree? Are we wrong? Tell us we're wrong to our face, because we won't take it personally. We will have a conversation with you, and we want to help in any way we can.
Yeah. So just to keep adding to what we're discussing. So if we are saying, take that moment to like, where am I going to fit in what I need to fit in? I think it's helpful to say to yourself, I need to do this one thing, two thing, or three things. I love the idea of three. That's just how I'm wired. It's just how I learned. But like, what three things do you need to get done, say today? Well, I need to get my meal prep done. I need to get my 30 minutes of walk in, and I need to get my 20-minute strength training in. And maybe those aren't all at the same time. Maybe those are throughout the day. But that's what we need to identify. And then how do we do at the end of the day? Like when we finish the day, how they go.
I love it. So let's take a moment right now, right? If you're out there in Facebook land and you are either here live or you are listening on recording, what are your three things? Even if you're already doing them, what are your three things to bring your health or your fitness to the next level, your well-being or whatever it is? What are your three things? And you could already be doing them. But I'm curious if everyone's are the same, and I'm sure they're not, but what are your three? Is it, hey, for me, it's really about getting that water intake. It's really about, trying to increase my, my self-talk. Like I'm finding that, I'm just a record player of kind of like negativity. I failed so many times in the past that every time I try to do something, I have this internal conflict of, why are you even doing this? And I have to quiet that voice. So maybe I need to start listening to, stuff like this, or I need to listen to the likes of Tony Robbins or Zig Ziglar or somebody that just tells me that, hey, it does not matter your past, your biography doesn't equal your destiny. What is that thing for you? I'm curious, Coach Andrew, what are your three things like for you, for your health, bringing yourself to the next level?
So I love this. I mean, I'm getting like goosebumps talking about this stuff because it's so good. It changes every it changes every day, right? So like today, I usually on Tuesdays, like after our meetings and everything, I have a good, solid 3-hour block.
I'm hyped up from our call, so I just go on a run for 3 hours.
So on Tuesdays, I go on a long bike ride. We bought e-bikes during COVID times, cool. And I am an e-bike fanatic. I love it. I'll go out. I'll bring my charger with me. I'll go out for like 45 minutes. I'll get lunch with a buddy of mine. We'll have coffee, lunch, we'll chit chat. And as the whole time I'm charging my bike up to help me get back home, because coming back home is going uphill. But like that, for my health, for my wellness, I look forward to that Tuesday bike ride every Tuesday, but also throughout the week, I'm looking forward to it because I know it's in my schedule. It's protected. It's blocked out. And I know if I don't get it, I feel like I'm compromised. I feel like I'm missing something. I'm lacking something. So that's number one. The second thing is, you mentioned you're 31. I'm 45, and I can feel 25 years of being a fitness trainer in my knees and in my back. And so I know I need 20 minutes of foam rolling and stretching. Right, yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm looking around for mine. But I know I need 20 minutes at the end of the day. Now my end of the day sometimes changes. My kids have swim team. They got other extracurriculars. Sometimes I'm meeting with clients. So I look, where can I put that time and book other important things around it with my kids, with our clients, where can I put that protected block of time? So it's my bike rides, my foam rolling, and usually Tuesdays, because it's a lighter day for me, I do a lot of my meal prep for Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday, going into Friday. And then Friday, I know we usually go out for dinner. So if I can get our lunches and dinners prepped for the next, 3 to 4 days, those are my three. That no matter what, I need to get those three things in. If I can get other things in, awesome.
Bonus.
But that's bonus, right? So, but if I get those three things in, I won the day, and I
Nice.
celebrate that, and I acknowledge that. And that's what I would encourage everyone else to do as well. Whatever those things are for you, at the end of the day, take a beat, take a moment to reflect.
Yes.
How'd you do? How did
Yes.
you get those things that you needed that were in your schedule? Not just naturally happened, like magically. Like, what did you plan for? What did you do? How to go? So that way you're learning, like, here's my style. Here's my recipe of getting what I need, not
Yes.
just today, but potentially every day.
I love it. We had some great comments come in as well. So yeah, some confirmation for what we were talking about before. Hit the nail on the head. You're 100% right. I'm tucking that saying into the memory bank. Where attention goes, energy flows, results soon follow. Love it. Let's go. 3 things. I believe this is for Gloria. No, this is for Kathy. Kathy said, my 3 things are prayer and meditation, drink water, and walk after work 2 to 3 times for 30 minutes. Love it.
Love it. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I had a couple other comments came in as well. What are your top 3 things that you will plan for and do today? That is an amazing question. I think a good question too is, sometimes we put so much emphasis on the day, which I'll be with you. Like, let's take immediate action. I am 100% in line. But sometimes I think if we have a super packed day, it's like, oh, I can't do anything today, so I'll just focus on it tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes, right? Because tomorrow is always today. So it's, well, it's okay to plan for tomorrow. If you're, completely sane, it's okay to plan 2 days out. There's a lot of variety in life. And, because of that, we have to learn to adapt. And that is the name of the game. Some of the actions that you guys are prioritizing this week: mini HIIT, 3-mile walk, run, meal plan for the week, positive self-talk to decrease the anxiety. Love that. The self-talk that you're doing, is that manual, or are you also listening? So you're aware, obviously, of your self-talk, and you're probably redefining it. If you find, oh, hey, I had something negative slipped in, let me reframe it. Are you doing anything in addition to that to get your self-talk, I'll say, normally good, whether that's just listening to, audios like this, which obviously you are, or listening to some other, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, personal development. Be curious to know. This is a huge goal of mine. I have yet to learn to do, believing in myself. I have no trust in myself to do what needs to be done. Okay, this is an awesome one that I want to talk on real quick. Who said this really fast? This was Amy. Amy, I'm so appreciative that you threw this comment in here. And I know Andrew's going to want to probably talk to this too, but I'm going to steamroll him and talk first. No.
Your show. Really your show. I'm waiting.
No way. We're hanging.
We got it.
No, this is our show, baby. Just really quick. I 1000% empathize with this. And even had a time in my life that I would sympathize with this, because this is exactly where I was. And I got this advice years and years later, and that I wish I knew when I was kind of getting out of this place. So any belief in anything, the belief that, in a religion, the belief in yourself, the belief that you do something, like the belief that you show up to work and you don't get fired, any belief that you have, the reason we believe it is because we have evidence. So evidence is the framework that reinforces beliefs. Now, here's the interesting thing. Evidence isn't always reality. Someone can look at a situation of evidence and, look at it differently and have it essentially be, we'll say, more impactful or less impactful. But that's not the direction I want to go in. The direction I want to go in is, if you right now have, you're trying to create a belief in yourself that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you follow through on your word, whatever belief you're trying to create that will lead to that, good view of yourself, you have to start collecting evidence for where you are, really small. So, if you want to believe in yourself, you don't start by taking on this incredible task, because the chance of, we'll say, gathering evidence that supports the opposing view is too strong. Here's the example. I don't have a very high self-esteem, so I'm going to, start doing things to increase my self-esteem. All right, I'm going to clean up my entire backyard today, and I'm going to do like 10 hours of yard work and I'm also gonna, clean my inside and like do all these things. But yet I haven't done any of this. Like, you haven't got me to do 5 minutes of yard work for the last 10 years. Too much. I only do 6 hours, and then I'm exhausted, and then I come in and I feel bad about it. But like, you did 6 hours. So what you do instead is you set the goal so small that you like can't lose, and you start collecting evidence. Here's the example. Okay, I'm going to start having 8 more ounces of water today. Now you look at that and you say, well, that's easy. Good. So do it. And then if you do more, you're an overachiever. And now your identity gets confirmed faster. And what you start to do is you start stacking this really small evidence. You set the bar super low, where you can't fail. And then you stack. And before you know it, you get to the point that a lot of my clients have gotten to, where it takes time, but like 6 months goes by or 12 months goes by, and they're doing all of the actions that they could never have imagined themselves doing, but they did it because they built one at a time. And then they have no choice but to believe that they are fit, that they are a fit person, because when they look back over the last 12 months or even 6 months, they go, well, hold on. For the last 6 months, I've been prioritizing my sleep. I've been exercising 3 times a week. I even went on vacation and brought my gym clothes. That's weird. Okay, well, who does that? Well, fit people do that. I've been like making choices that honestly like don't feel that hard to do, but like, I went to this I went to this family event, and there was a bunch of non-optimal food there, and I really didn't even want it. Evidence. And what happens is enough time goes by and you collect enough evidence that you cannot help but believe that you are that person. But I promise you, if you're starting from this part of fragile self-esteem, you just have to start really small and then build up. So that's one of the things that like I would do, or any of our coaches will do, is we'll assess where you are, what your mental state is, where your self-talk is on a scale of 1 to 10, which is why it's one of our pillars when you start with us. Because the person who like is already on that journey and, seems to have a pretty good view of themselves, they can maybe take on a little bit more or fail and not stop. But the person who is just starting or just trying to really build that for the first time, they need easier actions to overachieve for, so that they can create a positive feedback loop. But anyway, that was my rant. Woo! I like it. Mini achievements. I could have said the whole thing just like that. I like it. Mini achievements. Coach Andrew.
So
what's your thought on that?
I'm gonna kind of summarize, because you're saying like some gold here. So like, I think if someone was to doubt, like, well, that's not me yet. Like that seems overwhelming. That seems like you're saying so many things. Like, to help prove that belief that it is true, put it in your schedule. Just like you were saying, like with those 3 cohorts, like those people became active people because it was in their schedule. It wasn't necessarily mindset. It wasn't like anything else. It wasn't motivation. It wasn't anything else.
Hypnosis.
It was in their schedule, right? So So my biggest suggestion around what we're talking about today is, if you are struggling with something that you feel and I need more of this, or I need consistency with this, and I'm not sure, put it in your schedule. Make the attempt. And just like Ryan's saying, I wouldn't say like, well, I know I should do an hour of cardio. If it's not happening, and if you feel I don't have an hour, then don't make it an hour. Make it 20 minutes. Make it 30 minutes. Like, just like Ryan's saying, like, let's get you some success. Let's get that feeling that you are getting satisfied, that you are getting fulfilled, and you're following through with what you know is important. And then we can build on that. But like, if it's not in your schedule, it's not going to happen. And with in-person clients, I used to do this all the time. I would say, can I see your schedule on your phone? And they would say, why? Well, I know we're working on your nutrition. I know we're working on your hydration. I know we're working on you being active outside of the gym. Like, let me see when you're planning to do that. And probably 9 times out of 10, until they got what I was attempting to do, there was nothing there. And if I asked, like, what's going on? It was usually like, oh, I feel really bad. I'm not doing anything like that. So let's get around that. Let's put it in the schedule. Let's make the attempt and learn if it's working and what's not. And so if we're doing that effectively, my last tip for the day is at the end of the day, whether it's the end of your work day or the end of your day and you're about to go to sleep, somewhere in that time frame, how did you do? Look at your calendar, look for, one or two or three things that you did well. It could be a positive feeling, it could be a positive action, it could be you protected your time, something that you did to create that satisfaction, create the fulfillment, create the traction, something positive. And one thing, if you're constantly improving, you're going to be constantly progressing, you're going to keep getting better. What's one thing you could see yourself working on tomorrow or later in the week? One thing. There could be 10, there could be 20, but don't do that to yourself. One thing. And it could be the same thing every day for 7 days, 14 days, a month. I've seen people work on the one thing for 3 months, 6 months even.
Yes.
Like that's needs to be in your schedule as well, because if we're getting wins and we're getting some positive results, positive vibes, positive feelings as high performing individuals like you all are, if you know there's one thing that you're constantly like sinking your teeth into and you're going to figure it out, you're going to dial it in, you're going to figure it out because it's in your schedule. And it's not just warm fuzzy talk. It's not like, well, I'm thinking about it a lot and I'm talking about it a lot. Like, put it in your schedule and figure out how you're going to master that one thing. And you will. And then that turns into something that you feel is awesome when you're looking at those three things, like what's going well for today. It turns into those. So that's for the productivity. That's my last tip or suggestion for the day is acknowledge your wins, acknowledge your change, and what's the next thing that you could see yourself improving. And over time, just like Ryan was saying, you're going to see all the things that you're doing that some of our clients that have been doing things for years have just naturally found themselves doing because they've created that reality by making the attempt, having a plan, and not just hoping it just kind of naturally lightning bolts their head and then they just figure it out. It doesn't quite work like that. Not yet.
100%. And the last thought I would say to wrap this up too is, if you are starting and we've said these things and you're like, all right, that's cool, but like, man, why, like, if I start small, it'll take me so long to get there. And again, that's a fallacy. It's a fallacy because we believe that's like speed is the answer to get to where we want to get to, but really it's just not moving backwards. Think about the tortoise and the hare. If you've never heard of the book Atomic Habits, highly recommend to read it. A lot of our coaching is based on it, behavioral change and habit change. But if you just got 1% better every single day, that would mean you got 37 times better in the year. That's insane. So like 1% better a day and you never move backwards. The problem is people will go 100% because they'll be on a crazy 8. Well, they'll be like, I'm pissed. Enough's enough. I'm never eating sugar again. I'm done. Watch me. And then they go and they do it for like 2 to 6 weeks. And then, a muscle can't stay flexed forever emotionally. And then you get sad. And when you get sad, you give up. And it's like, well, oh man, it's never going to work anyway. And you give up because there's too many failures in a row because it was too much. So you go 0 to 100% in 6 weeks. And then they go, 100% to 0% for 6 months. And then it just goes through a cycle. So the best way that I've seen to really have sustainable results is you just have to start and never stop again. And the best way to do that is just by starting and having small actions. So yes, like imagine if you were 37 times better next year than you are right now in this moment. And you only did that by getting 1% better every day and not moving backwards. That's the math. That's how you got to do it. So you can do it. We're here for you. Thank you for all the information. Very interesting. My pleasure, Naomi, or our pleasure, I should say. Amanda said, do you have any other positive podcasts you recommend? Nope, just ours. No, just kidding. one of them, so it's not a podcast per se, but I'll tell you what really changed my life. And it's this guy named, so Tony Robbins, you're probably familiar with. He gets a little more tactical, but he still has good stuff out there. And then the other being Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar is he passed away, but he is just like the grandpa that you love to hear stories from. that's how it was for me. Like when I was a kid listening, he had this this podcast or this series. This was back when there was like cassettes, but I had it on a CD, and it was this program called Born to Win. And I remember I was 15 years old, and I really didn't have a high view of myself. And I remember the first time I ever heard it, it came on. It had like the music, Nightingale, whatever was the publisher. And then he said, "I'm Zig Ziglar, and I'm here to tell you, you're born to win. You're endowed with the seeds of greatness." And I remember the first time I ever heard that, I was like, he wouldn't have said that if he knew I would be listening. That's how low of myself I thought. But something really amazing happened, slowly but surely, in about a few months, in conjunction with other things. But I remember, and I would listen, as funny as it sounds, I would listen with my Walkman, my little headphones. They weren't as cool as these. In the back of the bus going to school, I would listen every day to and from school. And I remember after a few months, he said it in the beginning, and I just noticed it went from no to maybe he's right. That's all it took. A new belief. It was the seed of a new belief. And that was 15 years ago. And it all started because of a seed of input. So, there's a reason that, Coach Andrew or me or a lot of our coaches will talk about input and listening to positive people and getting ideas into your head that support who you want to be. Because that's where results come from. Results come from input, which change your thinking over time, which change your actions, which change your results. If you want to change your results permanently, you have to change your input. So that's why we make these. Again, we make these, almost every day. We make them for 30 to 40 minutes, usually saying the same stuff over and over and over again. And we do it so we can beat it in. Because you don't need to be taught something new. You just need to be reminded what you already know. And what you already know is that you're capable and you're a human, which means your potential is limitless. You and I have the same potential. Same as Coach Andrew. Same as your kids, right? Everyone has the same potential for the most part. So it's really about what you do and what you believe. Why is the person that has 170 IQ working on a farm? Well, he was told he was never going to amount to anything. And guess what? They were right. Not saying work on a farm. I'm just using what society thinks. But then why do you have the person that has an IQ of 100 that owns $1 billion company? It's probably because they think they're special when they're actually not. It's interesting. We tend to go as far as we believe we should. So that goes for wealth creation and career. It also goes as far as relationships, pretty much any area of life. You'll go as far as you think you should go. And that's the difference between being a thermostat and a thermometer. Quick story for you. Do you want to be the thermostat or the thermometer? A lot of us are thermometers. And a thermometer, essentially, we have an idea in our head of how hot we should get. And or actually, that's not the example I wanted to give, but I'll keep going it for a second. So like a thermometer essentially is telling you what the surrounding is, where it's like, if it's 20 degrees, I go to 20 degrees. A thermostat controls what the temperature is in the room. But what I really wanted to go on that, and I know I'm rambling, so forgive me, but what I really wanted to go with that is a different direction, but I can't think of the story that associates with it. So sorry to let you down. Coach Andrew, what's your final thoughts on this? Well, this is what happens when I start on a ramble. Man, I'm going to be the craziest old man ever. I can imagine me doing these when I'm 60. I'll be like, well, I won't say anything else. I was going to give some examples of someone I know that rambles.
So I'm a Brendan Bouchard advocate. And so his podcast, Growth Day, if you are looking for another podcast, it's very positive. I would suggest that. A lot of what I like to bring into our discussions here are things I've learned from his curriculum. And one of his best things I love is this is all we talk about is common sense, but it's not always common practice. And that's that's where I'm coming from with these suggestions that, Ryan and I are discussing, and that the other coaches bring up in these podcasts and bring up in our individual sessions, is the practice. What do we need to practice to keep improving, to keep progressing? Because most of us know what that is that I need to get better at. And so if you have that vibe, if you have that feeling, let's put it in the calendar. Let's practice it. Let's get some reps, and let's see how we keep improving. So that's what I'll leave us with today.
I love it. We're done. Sorry for the rambles, guys. Hopefully some of it was beneficial. If this is interesting, feel free to give it a like. It shows it to more people in the group. Leave a comment. We'll come back and answer it. And if you're interested in working with Coach Andrew or any of our coaches, we'll drop a link somewhere where you can apply to work with us and schedule a call to see if coaching is a good fit. Bye.